Last week, 32% of Tea Party-backed candidates won their congressional races. Of 10 Tea Partiers running for the Senate, 5 won. In the House, there will be 40 new Tea Party-backed members out of 140 people who were hoping to go to Washington. And now the Beltway is bracing for a new cup of tea. Tony Katz is a Tea Party activist, a radio talk show host, joins me now from Burbank, California. Tony, good to talk to you today.
Contessa, great to be here. And before anything, happy Veterans Day. Go out, kiss a veteran, shake a veteran's hand, give him your car, whatever you got to do.
That's
just
right.
say thank you.
I think people up and down the political spectrum can agree on that front, that we thank our men and women in uniform and those who have served there in the past. All right, so on to politics in Washington, D.C. How influential do you think the Tea Party folks who've won their races will be in guiding the Republican agenda moving forward?
I don't know if I would call it the Republican agenda, because I don't even know if Republicans know what the Republican agenda is. The Tea Party agenda is just so easy to understand. The Constitution, capitalism, fiscal responsibility, and smaller government. It's an easy message, and that's why it worked so well. That's why the Tea Party has gathered so many people, so many millions of people from around the country. When you see people like Colonel Allen West out of the Florida 22nd, when you see Senator like Johnson out of Wisconsin, when you see Pat Toomey out of Pennsylvania, they know this message. And what's more important, the Tea Party people understand that the establishment GOP doesn't understand. They know that if they don't listen to us, they're going to get fired. And there are establishment GOP that are going to learn this lesson, like Senator Lindsey Graham in 2012. They're going to learn the lesson fast and furious. And when the people start demanding that their elected representatives do the job that we want them to do, and the elected representatives do the job, it's going to be a better country. Okay,
so the deficit, the national debt, that was one of the biggest topics of concern when you would talk to people who counted themselves as supporters of the Tea Party. And yet here we have the new proposals for how we rein in this massive national debt. And what does the right say? It calls it, again, an excuse to raise net taxes on the American people. I mean, something's going to have to give. And you have Rand Paul, who has already said when it comes to voting to raise the debt ceiling, which is what you have to do in order to keep the government running, he's like, I'm not voting for it.
Right. And of course that he's right. Remember, we're talking about a $1.3 trillion deficit and a $13 trillion debt. You have to do something, and the answer to that something is not increasing the credit card just by adding a zero to the end of the number.
Would you be willing
to take a stand and you say,
would you be willing to see government shut down as opposed to raise the debt ceiling?
I don't think you have to shut down government. I think you have to ask yourself what has to be cut. Senator from Oklahoma, Coburn, has said that he wants to see $300 billion in spending cuts before he'll end the filibuster. I don't think you have to go to the extremes of shutting down government. By the way, if that's the end result, that's the end result. But there comes a moment that you have to stop spending. The spending must end in order for us to survive. Your big question today, Contessa, is about austerity measures. How do you want to avoid these things? Avoid them by stopping the spending and stopping the borrowing and putting yourself on a path to fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, though, and I'm getting just slammed with viewer emails here who say, no, we're not into austerity measures. Take it out of the pockets of the rich. We're done belt tightening here. Get into that, more of that ahead.
But that's a non-starter. That's a red herring. Take it out of the pockets of the rich. It's a nonsense attack. It's like the people who are okay with taxing people from AIG 90% on their bonuses. Those people would never see the money from it, but they want to see somebody else get hurt. This isn't a time to start attacking people and saying, attack the rich, those dirty rich, those evil rich. The rich are not the issue. The issue is you should be able to live in a country where you yourself can become rich. God bless capitalism. I said it here first. We need to be able to instill policies that keep the spending down and allow the opportunities to grow.
I don't know if you're actually the first one to say that, Tony, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Maybe here.